Hello, and again, very good afternoon to all of you. In this different and unique course of teacher training course, so far we have discussed many psychological aspects which can be applied in our day-to-day life. It can be personal and even professional as well, like emotional intelligence, rational emotive behavior therapy, narrative technique, transactional analysis, ego states, strokes, and even many other things. After discussing major principles and major areas of psychology, now we are going to discuss that how can we apply all these things for ourselves. That is, how can we enhance ourselves? Because working as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a professor, interacting with students, interacting with upcoming new generation, next generation, it is required and even it is always a challenging to cope and to meet the needs and demands of the other group. That's why self enhancement it is necessary. Dr. Albert Ellis he also put forth another major principle of REBT, that is love yourself, safeguard yourself, and be kind to yourself. So it is but natural and it is equally important to take care of ourselves. Now, how exactly we can take care of our psychological well-being, of our psychological health? Most of the time, distracted by multiple rules, multiple adjustment, and multiple responsibilities which we have. So our core self it somehow get divided into many other areas, and therefore it is good to have some kind of applied perspective that while interacting with many other different types of people, how can we maintain our true self? How can we maintain our core self? This is what we are going to learn or discuss today, self enhancement. And parallel, we will also learn that how and where we are having our own self limiting behaviors. So, to start with it, a personal growth, to have self enhancement, to nurture ourselves, it is always good to have a personal growth. How can we develop ourselves? How can we grow innerly as well? To have a degree, to attend some courses, having some a series of either workshops, trainings, or certificates also. It can be some external growth, but at the same time, internal, the personal growth. For that, we must train ourselves. We must train how to regularize, how to regulate our thoughts, thought process, how to regulate our emotions, interacting with self and interacting with others. And to train ourselves, the self awareness it is most important. Now, awareness about surrounding, that means awareness about exactly mm, means where we are or what exactly we are doing or what exactly we are supposed to do. Awareness about the day, date, time of that particular day or everything. The same thing it is applicable for awareness of inner self. How can we aware about our thinking, about our thoughts, emotions, actions, needs, dreams, desires, wants, achievement, suppressed thoughts, unexpressed emotions, unfinished business, which we may call it? The first and most important thing is awareness. Second thing is acceptance, that yes, these are the things which are there inside the mind. Then only we can work on it. And therefore, to have a personal growth, it requires a personal effort. What ideas I have about myself, we can think about it. What ideas I have, I should have, or I should not have about myself. Some kind of time we should spend in solitude for self. Then only we may have the access of all the other inner areas of our mind. Like Ellis only, he used to say that I love my work. So, means parallel, we are discussing the personal growth as well as a professional growth also. Stress, it is a part and parcel of our life. Nowadays, it is a bound. Do we have a stress? It is invalid question. Stress, it is going to be there because in life is demanding some extra force, some extra pressure from us. So therefore, to deal with this particular stress, at the same time working effectively, efficiently at workplace. This quote, it helps. It will help a lot. I love my work and I work at my loving. Both the things are parallel and compatible to each other. I love my work and I work at my loving. And this is the secret of my present unusually happy state. To maintain our happiness, to maintain our psychological healthy well-being, it is important that we should be able to find happiness in what we are doing. So when we are discussing about psychological well-being or psychological health, American Mental Health Association, they have they have listed down these 9 main qualities or characteristics of a psychologically healthy person. The first and most important is emotional stability. The person should experience the stability in his emotions. Frequent fluctuations, frequent ups and downs, that affects our psychological health. And if this kind of fluctuations are constant, then it may create some kind of structural inappropriate changes in our brain. That's why it says that too much stress, or the longer the stress, the longer the psychological effects are there. Therefore, we should train ourselves to neutralize it. How far, how effectively, how easily, with some practice, with some training, with some consistency in it, how well we are able to maintain our emotions or our mood. So, emotional stability. Second thing is maturity of character. As a teacher, it is most essential part to have a moral character in front of students, in front of next generation, because as we have seen, the factors affecting personality, the teacher and school environment also affects a lot. So what exactly we are giving them, what kind of projection we are portraying in front of them, it is most essential. So maturity of character, it may come the presence of mind, the humor, the politeness, calmness, effective and appropriate decision making, quickness in action, enthusiasm, all these things. And of course, even the ethics, morals, values, and principles. The third factor is ability to recover from paralyzing stresses of life in good time. So it says that adversity is blessing in disguise. Stress, it has to be there. But how far we are able to come out of it as quickly as possible, as early as possible. Stress and coping mechanisms, coping systems, emotion-based coping systems and problem-based coping system. Both are important. So, equally, the fourth one is ability to judge the reality accurately, appropriately as it is, to see the things as they are, to see the things as it is. It is the most vital, important part. If it is not there, then our own assumptions, our prejudices, or biases, it may affect. So, ability to see the things as they are, the realistic understanding, objective perception of the surrounding, objective perception in the moment view of person, event, or situation, it is required. Ability to foresee the consequences, end results, outcomes, that what exactly it will happen. Am I really aware about the consequences of actions which I am going to take? This understanding is crucial. Sixth one is ability to love and sustain affectionate relationship with people around. So see, to have a personal growth and to have a professional growth, the third important factor in growth, it is by default required, that is social growth. If we are able to maintain, if we are able to have some healthy relationships, if we are able to develop a bond, the depth in those relationship, either personal and professional, then it will enhance our psychological well-being. So relationships, because we are human, man is a social animal, so we have to live with others, and therefore maintaining the healthy good relationships with others, it is a necessity for our psychological health. It brings support, it brings a sharing part and many other things. Seventh one is ability to work cheerfully. Now with reference to existential perspective, we are bound to do something, we are bound to do some work. So if as it is we have to do, then why not do it with more interest, with more enthusiasm, with more energy and happiness? Ability to work cheerfully, enthusiastically. Second last is ability to gratify hunger, thirst, sex, and even other urges, needs, dreams, desires, everything. We do have a right to fulfill, to gratify all those needs, but at the same time in such a way as it should not be hurt to others. This is what is the biggest sign of a healthy mind. Ability to fulfill or ability to gratify hunger, thirst, and all these urges. But while fulfilling all these needs, to cheat others, to betray, to ditch others, it is not good, because all these things it will spoil those particular relationships, and ultimately it won't give you that authentic happiness. So to have authentic happiness in our life, we have to consider the others. We have to take into consideration others' views, others' opinions, at least to some degree. And the last one is having an effective conscience or rational thinking. What exactly is going to be, and what kind of purpose it will satisfy if I behave in this particular ABC or XYZ manner. Why I am doing all these things. So to have effective conscience and or rational thinking, it is essential to maintain our psychological health or to improve our mental health. Now, to have all these things, some of the activities are there. Almost, uh, I'm sure you are quite aware about it. In brief, so we are going to discuss something. Either daily or weekly, if we practice these 7 to 8 things, which will enhance our psychological well-being. The first one is mindfulness. It is FU and not FU double L. Mindful, it is different, and mindfulness, it is different. Second one is introspection and reflecting. Reflecting on our actions, on our goals, on our plans, it is important. The third thing is, as we have discussed with CBT and even RBT, that is diary writing, maintaining a journal for self, writing down about emotions which we have experienced in a day, or even about the thoughts, either positive or negative, either constructive or not. Having some kind of to-do list for today or tomorrow, all these things. Diary writing. The fourth one is keeping and maintaining silence, that too willingly, not by force. In Sanskrit, it is called as Maun Vrat. At least for the time being, at least once in a week, for half an hour or for an hour, purposefully, intentionally, by choice, we should maintain a silence and just observing our own thought processes. So, fourth and first, again, it goes hand in hand. The fifth one is book reading. It is a very good and a healthy company to us as a teacher, especially. Be around with the like-minded people because the company matters a lot in our development of thoughts, principles, values, likings, everything, and even the stability of mood. According to REBT, those who are high in frustration tolerance, tolerating the things which are unwanted, unexpected, but still accepting the fact that yes, I have done my part, and now remaining part, it is totally out of my control, so I have to bear it. Tolerating the things, increasing tolerance, again, to such an extent where it is not threatening to our any kind of personal, social, emotional, physical, social survival. So increasing tolerance, and the last one is either prayer or meditation, exercise, or by any means, by any self-healing healthy practices. It can be anything. But in that also, practicing all these things with meaningfully, not just for the sake of or just because it is a part of routine or so. So mechanically we are doing. No, it is not. It should not be like that. So all these things, it will enhance, it will support our psychological well-being. To start with it, a mindfulness. In many studies, it has been found that those who practice as mindfulness on personal level and even at workplace, there is 40% reduction in perceived stress, because mindfulness means what? Being in the present, focusing on the things which are in front of us instead of thinking about past and instead of thinking too much about future, focusing in the present right now, the moment. So you can imagine 40% there is a reduction in the perceived stress. The stress, it may not be there actually in real, but it's all about subjective in nature. A simple breathing practices, a simple being in present, thinking about now, here and now approach. Right now what we can do. And at the same time, so mindfulness means taking a note of each and every minute details which are there in present, not about the past and future. How exactly it can it can help us? First one, the mindfulness, it increased our productivity, because we are focusing only and only here and now approach, in the moment, for the time being. The consecutively, second important part is it opens our flexibility in thinking. So plan A or plan B or plan C, either we can do this or that, like that. The creativity, it gets open. So considering the relationship at workplace and even at personal front, the mindfulness, see, as we have discussed at the time of emotional intelligence means understanding our own emotions and at the same time perceiving others' emotions. That is also a part of emotional intelligence. And therefore, the mindfulness and emotional intelligence goes hand in hand again. So, one, first, second, third, and automatically, fourth one is making or better decision making. Considering the pros and cons, right now, what exactly we can do, what exactly we are supposed to do, what exactly is required to do. The mindfulness helps a lot. In one of the recent journal of American Psychological Association called APA Monitor, a very beautiful article. So they have mentioned that spending time in nature increases our productivity, increases our support, boost our relationship and the quality of it. Because spending time in nature, it gives us actual break from our so-called so fast and hurry life. So we must train ourselves to have personal growth. We must train ourselves at least to spend at least half an hour, either by walking, exercise, or by any other means, to spend with nature. We do have a park, we do have a, a jogging track or so. We can find many other options to have it. Second thing regarding mindfulness is be present. You may be aware that it is called as past, future, and present. So present is like a gift which we have received. And to have this present as such, the first and foremost is avoid multitasking. Even if it is required nowadays, so called so fast and past life, at least for the time being, at least couple of hours in a day, we must train ourselves. Do one thing at a time. If it is a breakfast, have a breakfast only. Just keep mobile, TV, remote, everything aside. For the time being in present. If it is a lunch and dinner, focus your all senses on food. That's it. खाना खाते वक्त मोबाइल देखना, टीवी देखना या यहाँ वहाँ कुछ निगेटिविटी क्रिएट होगी, ऐसे कुछ बातें करना, स्ट्रिक्टली अवॉइड इट. Focusing one time at a time, one thing at a time. This will also increase our introspection, a communication or dialogue with self. So, avoiding multitasking. Second one is get in touch with your senses. So, when you are having your lunch, dinner, tiffin, or breakfast, or any other thing, focus on the senses. Focus on the taste, the sweetness, the texture of that particular food. Have it and feel it. For the time being, we get separated from our so-called so stressful life. It is required to have it. And veer away from distractions. We have to be focused, then only we can be in the present. Distraction should be skillfully avoided. Apart from all these things, how can we develop our mindfulness practice? How to be more mindful? The first thing is meditate daily. Even if it is 5 minutes a day, absolutely okay. But it should be daily. This meditation increases our self-understanding. This meditation, it gives us a time to have a word with yourself. This will separate us. This will give us a chance to get separate from routine tasks and to have our own time. Solitude time, it is must nowadays. Second and most important thing is work on your breathing. Inhale, just hold it and exhale. Slowly inhale. For the time being, hold it and then exhale. This simple focusing the breathing technique, it works like anything. All these things are supported and highlighted in health psychology field because these things enhances our immunity, enhances our stress, enhances our stress management techniques, and many other means benefits are there. In many studies, it has been found that simple breathing techniques, it works as a relaxation principle. So when we are at work and we are surrounded by too much stress, try to have at least 5 minutes or even a couple of minutes and focus on our deep breathing. Automatically, it will control and even regulate our thought processes. What exactly we have to do, how well we can do it, everything. Nowadays, we are bound to learn or we are expected first to have effects of any things. अगर ये करेंगे तो क्या मिलेगा, क्यों करना है? Fine, absolutely okay. Effects or benefits of mindfulness training or practices. The first one is it decreases our stress level. The more we are able to focus on that particular single thing, single object, single incidence, event or situation also, automatically it decreases our stress of other factors. And so it improves our attention span. The more we are able to focus it, the more we are able to learn out of it. Attention means a purposeful mental activity is what is attention. According to William Wood, who has written A Principles of Psychology in 1879, the way he defined attention is purposeful mental activity. Our senses, our mind, our thoughts, emotions, perception, everything, it's centered on one particular object, on one particular event or a situation or person. So automatically we can extract maximum things out of it. As we are dealing with teacher training course, so it decreases our job burnout. If we are just suppressing our anger, hatred, jealousy, stress or everything for a longer period of time, at one point it just gets burnout. But the mindfulness, it will help. The mindfulness training or mindfulness continuous practices, it will decrease our job burnout. Another effects, like studies, it has been found that employees exhibit less depressive symptoms. It's not only about anger, hatred or jealousy. Regarding stress, another toll is depression, mood swings, instability. So the more we are able to focus on the present, the more it will reduce our negative thinking. In the same study, it has been also found that those who have been trained with mindfulness practices, they are quite happier as compared to those who have not received such kind of training. And efficient either in emotional intelligence or even in decision making. So those who learn or those who practices such kind of mindfulness techniques, it has been shown that they are happier and they are more efficient, they are more productive, they are more well trained in managing their stress and other negative emotions. Almost 90%, they find these practices, they help the third negative emotion, that is anxiety. So we have discussed about stress. Depression means what? Constant thinking about past is what is depression, and constant thinking about future is what is anxiety. So the mindfulness reduces our unwanted, unrealistic apprehension of situation, and 80%, these calming practices, they contribute, they support, they enhances overall psychological well-being. How can we develop apart from meditation and all those things? The first and foremost, some very useful handy tips like incorporate gratitude. Expressing the gratitude, it is a skill, it is a etiquette, manner nowadays. Respect others. Be kind to yourself, at the same time be kind to others as well. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Continuous practice or developing the habit of saying thank you, welcome, and even sorry, apologize, excuse me. These things develops our mindfulness because it reflects that yes, we are in the moment. Increasing awareness of both external and internal as well. If we are not able to pay attention to the surroundings and even about self, another term in mindfulness it is called as autopilot mode. Autopilot autopilot means doing the things for the sake of or mechanically. So to avoid that kind of autopilot mode, it is good to develop our awareness. Like writing diary, we can write down our thoughts. At the same time, we can also list to have emotions which we have experienced in a day. That will help us to monitor our moods. What kind of emotions I have experienced today? Out of them, how much are positive emotion and how much are negative? Why exactly I felt in that particular way and not the other way? आज क्यों गुस्सा आया, आज क्यों अच्छा लगा, कब मुझे अच्छा लगता है, कब मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता है, everything. After a couple of weeks, according to Barbara Fredrickson, if we practice to monitor our moods after a couple of weeks or so, we will be more vigilant, attentive about our moods, mood swings, and mood reactions as well. Therefore, automatically, as we have discussed in counseling, we will have access whether to react or whether to respond. Second thing is to have a purpose in life, we have to start to find and to set a purpose for a day. So we have to set a daily intention or to-do list that what exactly I have to do today. That I will write down early in the morning or the day before when I go to bed. सोने सोते वक्त सोने से पहले कल मुझे क्या क्या करना है, I will write it down. It gives a message to our brain कि नहीं, कल के दिन में ये चीजें ऐसे 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 करनी है. The more we are busy, the more we are more productive and fruitful in actions. Then music, it can be anything, either classical or the 90s song or the pop one, rocking song or anything, as per your interest, as per your genre or anything. But this change, it will also increase the mindfulness because it gives us a break from routine work. We have discussed about breathing. The same thing, breathe, but with purpose, with focus. The gratitude that yes, I am alive. The gratitude that yes, I am able to breathe. The gratitude for self that yes, I can experience my breathing, how it feels. And engaging ourselves in some meaningful hard work. This is most important. The more we are engaged, the more we become less destructive, less focused to other stressful conditions. And to have it, Our mind is just like a muscle. The more we exercise, the stronger it gets. If we are not able to use it, it will be the same. And the more it can expand. The more we exercise, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. So to have all these things, apart from mindfulness, second thing is prayer. As you can see, Encyclopedia of Britannica, they have also studied that how prayer enrich our psychological well-being. So prayer, it can be anything, the means, mode, irrespective of any religious practices or by any kind, any type of god or any other thing. Irrespective of any religion, especially in Eastern culture, in Indian culture, prayer, it is a way to surrender ourselves. And in Ashtanga Yoga, important concept is Ishvara Pranidhan. That means ability to understand factors within control and factors out of control. Now this principle, it is quite similar with Hari beating. That means I have done my part, I have done my duty, I have tried my best, I have done everything. Now it's up to you. This kind of faith itself, it is called as a prayer. So it doesn't mean that means practicing prayer, it is like giving excuses or so, or is it a kind of defense mechanism or escapism way? Not at all. After doing everything which we can, which we are supposed to do, after that, this surrender is most important. The two, some kind of definition also we can say. The Teresa of Avila, she defined prayer, it is like an intimate friendship, a conversation for stress management and self enhancement purpose. We are seeing the importance of prayer. So the intimate friendship and a frequent conversation which is held alone with our God, our Guru, or anyone else like that. And Encyclopedia of Britannica, the way they have defined that, it is a spiritual outburst. But how? In a desire to enter into a contract with scared or holy. And that's why the prayer should not be the mechanical or the monotonous. It should be meaningful with wholeheartedly. The more we are able to understand its meaning, the reasons of those words, the more it will help to enhance ourselves. Now, all these are the types of prayer. And again, as of now, we are going to deal with upcoming generation. So their first concern or demand is that they need to have some kind of reasons for it. कि क्यों करना है? Because it purifies our mind, it purifies our emotions, even the negative one. And like mindfulness and meditation, prayer, it develops our concentration level. Now with reference to yoga, the fifth one is Chitta Shuddhi. So Chitta means attitude and Prana Shuddhi means energy in short. Now again, these 7 principles are most important. Dr. Prashantam sir from Christian Counseling Center of Vellore, they have said that stress management for self, it is good, it is required, essential. So how can we have it? The first point, read it carefully, that intentional time taken by an individual to nurture himself or herself physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and that too on a daily basis. Then only we can deal with the stress, and then only we can enhance ourselves. So, see, we have to take some time purposefully, intentionally, on a daily basis. How? Physically, we have to nurture ourselves, we have to take care of self physically, psychologically, or mentally as well. The third one, either by meditation, by prayer, by any kind of other rituals which are prescribed in that particular culture, religion, or so, but spiritually and even emotionally. That's why emotional intelligence, it is important. And not only from counseling or psychological point of view, but all these four areas: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. World Health Organization also consider holistic health in the same manner: physical self, physical health, psychological health, and spiritual health. Com- the combination and balance of all these things is what is holistic health. So we have to nurture ourselves on these four areas, and that too on a daily basis. And that's why at least 1 hour it should be reserved for us. We must have an appointment with ourselves. We do take appointment of our doctors, of our teachers, or of anybody. But at the same time, out of 24 hours, at least 1 hour for self. Second thing is, recognize and accept your own limitations. The more we are able to understand, the more we are able to accept, then only we will, we will be ready to overcome out of it. So, recognizing and accepting our own limitations. This is what is, again, it goes with unconditional acceptance of self and unconditional acceptance of others. In spite and despite of having many strengths, as well as we should be aware about our weaknesses, about our threats, and the challenges. Third thing is, learn to tolerate and forgive others. It doesn't mean that forget, but to tolerate others and forgive others, so that we can learn, and at least we will be ready from our side to maintain healthy relations with others with whom we are interacting on a daily basis. Fourth one is, if we are bound to do the same task again and again and again and again, then how can we do it in a different way? अगर वही काम करना है तो उसी काम को कुछ अलग तरीके से, कुछ अलग अंदाज से हम कैसे कर सकते हैं? So this change, it will again bring the flexibility in our thinking, and at the same time it will channelize, it will stimulate our creativity. Nowadays, a very rare part somehow, that is happiness and smiling. So give smile to others. It will increase the probability that you will also get return the same thing. Be happy, be cheerful when interacting with others. Be happy at your work. This happiness, this positive vibrations, it will enhance, it will work like anything. And individual differences and empathetic understanding in counseling is nothing but the second last. Perceive others from others' perspective, not from our own. If we are able to perceive others from our perspective, it is like biased view or prejudice. But rather, perceiving our parents, perceiving our students, and perceiving our friends from their perspective, then only we will be able to develop emotional understanding and emotional intelligence. Why they are not able to do or behave the way we want? What are the things which are forcing them or hindering their growth? We have to take into consideration all these things, and for that we have to perceive others from their perception, from their dimension. So the empathy, it is defined as ability to put yourself into the shoes of others. The last one is shortest distance between two people is like smile. At work, it is essential, and even in family also. This is the shortest distance between the two people. Now, to manage ourselves in stressful conditions, in stressful actions, and even to enhance ourselves when we are dealing with some kind of unwanted, unexpected trouble, stress, problem, hurdle, or anything. How can we have it? These five areas are most important. The first one is we should learn to relax ourselves. Relaxing in the sense by all means, physically and even psychologically. The more we are able to relax ourselves, the more we are able to think about the problem, its obstacle, solutions, various plans, alternatives of it. The more we are able to relax ourselves, the more we are able to have legitimate or small goals. One thing at a time, how can we start it? First, we have to relax. Another thing is in counseling and even dealing with any person who is having some kind of emotional imbalance or distress, their sleep and their eating habit, it gets disturbed in initial phases or in initial counseling sessions. Once they are able to practice all these things in a more healthy way, once they are able to control their sleep, routinize, regularize their sleep, and once they are able to have healthy food at appropriate time, then automatically the doors will get open to deal with stressful condition or to deal with that particular problematic condition. So we should learn to relax ourselves. Now again, the ways, it will vary from person to person. For some people, having a good sleep is relaxing. For others, being actively engaged in work is itself a relaxing part. For another type of group, it is like have a tasty food or chat or so, or to listen to music, engaging ourselves in some recreational activities, or pursuing hobby, drawing, sketches, any other thing. By any means, of course, with some healthy practices, we should learn to relax ourselves. Second one is review. Once we are able to relax ourselves, then only we can have a review. Now again, deep breathing, activate our exercise, all these things, it will come under a relaxing part. And in review, we have to look at ourselves. what kind of transactions we are doing when we are interacting with others in terms of TA, transactional analysis. What kind of strokes we used to give to those people. We have to take a review of it. Is it so that knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously we are having some or we are using some kind of plastic strokes, conditional strokes, the negative stroke or so, or by anything. This review, it will also help us to discriminate between what we can see and what we cannot see in that particular stressful condition or in that particular this problematic event also. The third important factor in review itself is the more we are able to have a view about oneself, then only we will be able to build or plan to have some new strategies to deal with new upcoming stressful conditions. So this review, have a view of ourselves, it is most important in maintaining, in enhancing ourselves. The third R, it comes, that is relate. Relate ourselves to appropriate people. Relations. Relationships are essential for our health, as we have discussed, for physical and even for psychological health. Nowadays, in many cities, to deal with psychological and even some chronic illnesses, chronic disease, terminal illness, there is support group system. Support group in the sense, now for example, in Mumbai, in Pune also, there are cancer support groups. Those people who have been diagnosed with cancer, they come together at least once in a month and they interact with each other. आपका ईटिंग पैटर्न कैसा है, आपका डाइट कैसा है, आप एक्सरसाइज कैसे करते हो. And another thing is, when one cancer patient interacts, observe, relate with others, then they realize that, see, in at initial phase, they have a thought that why it me, why it happens only with me. But the moment they start interacting with similar type of people, their stress, tension, anger, anxiety, and depression gets neutralized because they relate themselves. They develop some kind of psychological support. So with the same thing, relating with appropriate people, it will enhance ourselves, it will enhance our psychological immunity. Psychological immunity, it is also equally important. So, another important aspect why relating it is most important is Harvard study, Harvard group of researchers, they have conducted one of the most longitudinal, longest study in the history of psychology. Now that study continued for almost 75 years. They have collected 4 to 5 generations in family. They have collected a detailed data of all those families, and then they have found that what exactly it matters for happiness. It is not only the money, it is not only the work, the position, the status which you have, but rather in that particular study which is conducted by Harvard University, it was found that more than 70 to 80% people, those who said that yes, I am happy, instead of the monetary gains or luxurious life or so, rather than they said that we have meaningful relations with our family members, with our friends, with our co-workers. So we are happy. And those who add other 20 to 30% people, in spite of having a good salary, a good position, and other luxurious or monetary gains in their life, still they were not happy because they didn't have a meaningful relations with others. So that's why this relate, it is most important. The fourth one is routinizing. Now, once we are able to understand that how to relax, how to review, and how to relate with others, practicing these things again and again and again and again on a daily basis, on continuous basis, this routinizing, this a new, different, and a healthy lifestyle, emotionally healthy lifestyle, psychologically healthy, mentally healthy lifestyle, and spiritually healthy lifestyle. The consistency in all these things, making some kind of habit in it. This will the fourth additional part for self enhancement. And then only by having relax, review, relate, and routinize, we can rebound ourselves from any stressful, inevitable, unavoidable circumstances. So to develop a positivity, to develop a resilience, to develop a bouncing back approach when we are interacting with others, when we are dealing with our co-workers or a group like students also. These five are most important. And at the end, that is a serenity prayer. Many of you are quite aware about it. God give me the serenity to change the things I can. Means whatever I can change, yes, I should. I must work on it. Give me the courage to accept the things which I cannot change. And the third important part of this prayer is give me the wisdom to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change. Again, supporting the principle of rational emotive behavior therapy, that is factors within control and factors out of control. So with this overall understanding of mindfulness, introspection, keeping silence, maintaining diary, increasing frustration tolerance, effective and good book reading, be surrounded with like-minded people, importance of prayer, that too are meaningful. All these things, it works as a self-enhancement, and then only we will be able to develop our mental health in a more appropriate way. Because daily we have to interact with a new upcoming generation. And therefore it is crucial to take care of ourselves, love ourselves, and safeguard ourselves in spite and despite of having stressful surroundings. With this, we have discussed the self-enhancement behavior. In next particular session, we will have some hands-on experience activities on being mindfulness means exactly what, and how far we are able to understand self-limiting behavior. We have discussed self-enhancement behavior, and then we will discuss the self-limiting behavior. Thank you so much.